That's right. It's been almost, I think, 3 years since I did the first playthrough of Kingdom Death Monster. We're jumping back in. We're going to be playing through the Gambler's Chest. We're going to be playing the campaign that is fresh out of this expansion. We're going to use everything that is part of this expansion. This would be super cool. This game does start similar to the other one where you fight a kind of weaker version of a level 1 monster, and then the game revs up. We get our civilization. This is going to be absolutely amazing. I'm going to go through a little bit of the setup, and I'm going to play this as if you already know the rules of Kingdom Death Monster, but any of the newer rules that are coming through the Gambler's Chest, I'm going to make sure to point those out and explain what those are as we get going into this game. Now, if you're excited to see our characters face the Gambler's Chest expansion, then I need you to meet me at the table. We're going to jump into creating our survivors. Last epic campaign that we did that spanned, I think, like 40 some videos or something, we used the Dragonlance groups in order to name our characters. It's a book series from my past that I really enjoyed. And I went to my Patreon supporters this time to find a great source material for names for this campaign that we're going to be playing through. And they recommended the Wheel of Time series. For those of you that don't know that series, it's also a fantasy setting for a book series, and I'm going to be using the names from that one. Now, there is one difference between the Dragonlance setting and the Wheel of Time setting. I have not read the Wheel of Time books. I think I've read about half of the first book, and I may have watched the first series season of the show. So that's all I know of Wheel of Time. But there is a astronomical amount of names that we can pull from. Now, just like the old game, when you do name your characters, we have Rand up here. He's going to gain the 1 survival, and we have Nynaeve over here. She's going to gain 1 survival as well. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. If I didn't, I apologize. We're going to also give them, in this particular game, a knowledge card. That's going to be something new that the survivors are going to get. There are 4 starting knowledge cards right here. So we're going to give these a little truffle shuffle here, and we're going to give each one of them 1 card. 1 for that person, 1 for that person. Now, I haven't sleeved these cards. They are an odd-shaped card. I do have some sleeves coming, and when I get them, I'll tell you all about the sleeves and where I got them from, so you can, if you're interested in sleeving them, you can't find that, you'll know where to get them. Now, knowledges are not going to be in your advantage at the beginning. A lot of these are going to be detrimental. They're going to increase systemic pressure or torment. They could also give you some kind of unrest, but as they evolve, they could eventually become good for you in a way. Now, we're going to look at the knowledge card for Rand. Rand is going to have here darkness. So darkness is his knowledge right at the beginning, darkness 1. Now notice that will evolve as we go. It says here there's something out to get you, and he is going to gain +1 torment. Torment is a new stat that is found inside the Gambler's Chest for this particular scenario, and the way torment works is we're going to be subtracting my torment from my brain trauma roll. So if he ever has to roll in the brain trauma, it's going to be even more detrimental to him. Now, observation. This is something that is going to help us gain the next card in the series. As we fulfill what is on the observation here, we're eventually going to be able to evolve this card. And the minute you're able to gain all of the check marks here on the bottom, we'll evolve that to darkness 2 no matter when that happens in the game. It could happen right in the middle of a fight. It could happen during the settlement phase. It could happen anytime. And when that does, that's when the new card comes into effect. But for now, we are going to gain +1 torment, which is right over here. And that's all we have. But whenever I suffer a brain damage, I am going to gain 1 of these little boxes. Once we get far enough, we're able to advance that to number 2. Now, you don't want to write on the cards. There is a spot on your character sheet for the knowledges where you can put the name, the rules, and the observation conditions. You can put all that right here. We're not going to use that. I am just going to place the card here for now. If we do ever have to mark off one of the boxes, I will mark off a box on this sheet. But just for the very prologue here, we are going to keep the card out there so we have it. There's not a lot going on the board, but of course, as you know, going forward in Kingdom Death, your character sheet is going to start becoming full of everything, and so you're going to want to write those down. Now, of course, we do have Nynaeve over here. She is also going to gain 1. She is going to gain despair. and she has a theory here on her despair. It says theory, an inkling of an idea that currently has no effect. With enough observation, the theory may advance into something useful. So when you suffer a brain trauma, I get to check mark one of my boxes, and it only takes one box to go to despair 2. So that might happen a little bit faster than it would be for this poor guy here with his darkness 1. Now the difference is he can suffer brain damage, where she has to suffer a brain trauma. So he actually has to roll on that table, where of course all he has to do is take damage. So he won't have to suffer the brain trauma from the torment in order to make his boxes go away. Our last two characters up here are Egwin and Perrin. I, again, hope I pronounced them right. We do each get one survival for them, and again, we have 2 left knowledge cards left. We'll hand them out like that. She is going to be able to deal with fear. She, again, also has a theory. It says an inkling of an idea, very similar to the other one, and it says when you suffer damage, she's going to gain a box. Then when she gets 3 of them, she gets to go to fear 2. So unlike the ones on the bottom, we're dealing with brain damage. These guys are dealing with actual damage. And the last one we have over here is going to be, let's see if we can find it, it is hunger. Oh boy, hunger. It says your body filled with tiny monsters that are eating you from the inside. Oh, that's terrible. I'm going to gain +1 systemic pressure, and systemic pressure is just the opposite of the brain torment. It says here, subtract your systemic pressure from your severe injury result, and during the aftermath I get to gain 1. So as long as I survive, I'm going to be able to gain 1, because when we go to the aftermath, that will advance. So we have our 4 survivors, and of course our survivors are all dressed with a founding stone and a cloth here. That is of course all we get. So we are going to have 1 armor on the waist that we'll put on every one of our character sheets found right here, and we are all set to go. Now that we have our survivors ready to go, we're going to set up the Crimson Crocodile. The Crimson Crocodile's AI deck is already predetermined in this fight, along with the top card of the hit location deck. The AI deck, I don't know all of the cards. I do know the top card is going to be what is called 21,000 Newton Bite, and the card on top of the hit location deck is 99 Finger Spine. Those are the 2 cards. So we do have a little bit of insight on the very first fight here. Now, along with that, you're going to have to put out his trait cards, and let's take a look at those. Here are the 3 trait cards. The first one we have is Adrenaline Adept. It says on the card, the monster disrupts your blood flow, preventing your body from coping with stress. When you would gain insanity from a brain trauma, your body suffers in pain. Instead, suffer 1 damage to a random hit location. Oh, that's terrible. All right, well, I would not expect any of these to be any good. The next one is going to be his Immortal Presence. It says here, hypnotized by fidgeting spine fingers, your body's fear response escalates. When your survivor has 0 insanity, they gain the Terrified Savior status card. All right, that's great. Survivors, Terrified Survivor. And the final one is this Enchanted Flesh card. It states here, when the monster is wounded, its blood hardens into translucent scabs that sparkle as it moves. During the showdown setup, shuffle all coagulated hit locations and place this card on top. When instructed to draw a coagulated hit location, draw from the bottom of the stack face down. So, all right, so we do have these cards, and they're all very interesting. They all have different symbols on here, so this must be where you're going to have to hit him or not hit him. I am not sure. We'll see how this all plays out. But we do have all of them there. We're going to give them a good old truffle shuffle here. And we'll place them back down on the board, and then we'll place our Enchanted Flesh card on top. There are a couple more things we have to set up. One is because this is a predetermined fight, we're going to have, part of the setup says that we have an uneasy awakening, and all survivors are going to gain +1 insanity. So we all get to have 1 insanity on all of our characters. Plus, I forgot to put down that he has his systemic pressure for +1. So I'm going to put that right here. He does have 1 systemic pressure. So I will be giving everybody 1 insanity at the beginning of this fight. And that's good, because otherwise this will fire off when a survivor has 0 insanity. They gain Terrified, so it's good we have those 1 insanity. I do want to mention at this point, if you're interested, I get a lot of questions about what sleeves do I use for my cards, and these are sleeved completely. It's hard for you to tell because they actually go right up to the edge. I really like it when they do that. The ones I use for these particular cards are what are called Mayday sleeves. They're not the best, but they're not the worst. They're kind of I would call them mid-range sleeve, but they work perfectly. This is the exact one I use for all of the cards for for any of the monsters. I use these for anything that I shuffle, and I use these for anything that I don't shuffle. They're more of a thinner one. That's like what I have on this particular card right here. This is, of course, its basic action card that we may see going forward. But I wanted to give you guys an idea of which card sleeves I use, because I do get that question quite a bit. Now, of course, those are the sleeves I use. There are, of course, other companies out here that probably have the exact same size of sleeves that you can pick up if you're interested. I just wanted to show you what I use. And of course, in no way am I getting any kind of reimbursement from Mayday. I just want to show you what I use. Here is our monster of the day. We are going to be fighting a Crimson Crocodile. Here he is in all his glory. If you're interested in how I painted him up, I did do a live painting episode on my channel. You can check that out if you're interested. I used basically a lot of different contrast paints and some dry brushing to make him what he is. And I put some Turbo Dork paints on the back scale thing here to make it shine really cool. Then I put some blood things down here because, of course, if we look into the way this fight is supposed to go, we have to put out two terrain pieces. One of them is the blood pool, which is found right here. It says, as an action, drink from the pool. You can roll a d10. If you are standing in the center of the blood pool, you get to add +1 to your roll results. Survivors with hemophobia may not drink. And this is something that could happen to you. This might be something we want to do. It's set up at least 3 spaces from all board edges. Now, for this particular fight, it does say that he starts right on it. Here is the tile. We're just going to place him right on his blood pool, which is why I put a bunch of blood underneath him. I thought it was kind of cool that he's going to be standing on his little blood pool there. The other one that we're going to be dealing with is we have a survivor corpse out there as well, and if survivor moves through the space occupied the terrain, they will suffer brain damage equal to the monster level. This is a monster level 1, and I have to set this up at least 6 spaces from all terrain pieces. And of course, I can use an action to scavenge, and I roll a d10, and I'm going to be able to gain, looks like insanity, and then potentially something else. And we're going to place that token right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And our survivors all have to be within 5 spaces of this guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. We're all perfect. That should be fantastic. Now, I do want to mention before we begin this fight that you do have to have the core game in order to play this game. For example, this particular terrain piece does come from the core game, and many of the items you're originally going to start crafting and the settlement areas are going to be from the core game as you play through it. So you do need the core game in order to play with this expansion. Now, is his Kingdom Death? So I am going to have the monster go first, but first let me at least identify who we have out here. This is going to be Rand. This is going to be Igwina. This is going to be Perrin, and this is going to be Nynaeve. Now, again, I apologize if I mispronounce any of those names. Let's go ahead and start the fight. Let's see what that crocodile can do. We'll draw our predetermined card that we have on top. It is our 21,000 Newton bite. It will pick its target, threat with the most tokens in range. There are no tokens. We'll move to the next one, which is closest survivor. We're all equal distance, so we get to choose. And he's going to move and do a synchronic attack against the target, which is going to do 2 speed, have a 3 accuracy, and does 21 damage. Oh my gosh. Let's check out before damage, though. It says, if you are terrified or deaf, you cannot avoid this attack. Otherwise, you hear the zealous fingers strumming and escape the bite's full power. Oh, that's fantastic. Reduce the damage that the attack profile to 1. Okay, to 1. Tokens modify as usual. So if this had like do a +2 towards its damage, it would be a +3. But this is only going to do 1 because none of our guys are deaf, thank goodness, or terrified. Oh my gosh, that is pretty terrifying. Okay, it also does what's called a synchronic attack. The way synchronic attacks is that the monster controller, which is me, is going to move and identify the shortest route to the target, which is the closest survivor. And then once I hit that point, I will attack everybody inside of that area. Now, if I can't reach the target, it will still move as close as I can to that target and then perform its synchronic attack. And if there's anybody that just happens to be in that area, all too bad for them, they're going to get hit. Now, this one only shows blue. There are potentially some cards that actually have a specific point on that synchronic attack, which is where it's going to want to try to place that target when it makes the attack, but then it'll also attack everything else that's part of the synchronic attack. I hope that makes sense, but there is only going to be one person in the synchronic attack, and I will show you. Our crocodile does have a 6 speed that is built into his character. He also has 6 toughness, which will come into play when we actually are damaging him, but for now, he's going to use his 6 speed to move, and I get to choose who to attack because they're all equal distance. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and have it attack this character right here. So its synchronic attack will attack these squares right there, and since there's nobody but her there, that's the only person that's being targeted. Now, if he, of course, was standing here, he would also be part of that. And when you make the roll to determine who gets hit, you would just roll the amount of dice that are part of the attack, and then you would figure out per survivor how they will deal with it and how they would how many hits are actually going to happen to them based on any evasion or other tokens that you have to help prevent yourself from taking the hits. Now, this is the first fight, so I don't have a lot of neat little shenanigans I can pull off. So we're going to roll 2 dice. It does need a 3 accuracy to hit me, and it got a 7 and an actual hit. Okay, so both hit, which I was expecting. So we'll roll our location dice to see where these hits take place. Both are going to be in the body. Well, that's absolutely terrible. So I am going to use my dodge to be able to dodge one of those attacks. So she's going to take 1 shot to the body. I am going to dodge one of it by using my survival and using the dodge ability that is baked into my character at the very beginning of the game, which allows me to avoid an attack. Of course, that does use my survival. I can't do that anymore. Now, she does have her fear card here that does state, when you suffer damage, I get to fill in one of my boxes. So we are going to fill in one of our knowledge boxes, and if we fill in 2 more, we'll have met our observations here, and we're going to gain our Fear 2 card. With that attack complete, we're going to have Iguina go ahead and throw her Founding Stone. I'm going to take my stone and I'm going to use the action here that says that I can sling this stone from anywhere on the board. Activate the card for 1 automatic hit that inflicts a critical wound. Then I will, archive this card. So we're going to archive it by returning this card to the game box. I no longer have that card, but if I hit something with a critical hit, that location on the actual hit location card, I will automatically be able to do that without having to roll. So we'll draw our predetermined hit location card that I know is on top, and I do know there is a critical hit on this because I know what this card is. It is the 99 Finger Spine. It is normally an impervious location, which means I would not even be able to wound it. It says fingers stretch outward, revealing the cachet of stone faces the monster has been clutching. But since I'm able to critically wound it, it says your attack shatters a translucent scab covering these stone faces on the monster's back. Find the sparkling upper back hit location card from the locations that we've set aside, and then in the coagulated deck. And I'm going to set it aside and reshuffle the hit location deck and place the card on top. This now is a persistent injury, which has an exposed back. The monster panics, making it easier to hit, and it's going to gain -1 evasion token. That is fantastic. So we have done our first wound, and we've gained a -1 evasion token for this character. And then we are going to grab the card from here called the Sparkling Upper Back. We're going to set that aside and shuffle this entire deck. We're going to give it a good old truffle shuffle here. And then we're going to place that card on top and put this one back on top as well. And this is an impervious location, but I believe even though it's impervious with this critical wound, I think I still do a wound to the monster. So I'm going to put that wound right there. If I'm wrong about that, please let me know in the comments below so that I can make sure to put a pinned comment in the video. If you notice anything that I've done, or if I have noticed anything that I've done wrong after the video releases, I'll be able to put that in a pinned comment so you can also check that out, and I'll probably talk about it in the next video. She does have movement now she can use, because you can do 1 action and you also get 1 movement that you can do. Or she has 5 movement though, she can do 1 movement action, but I'm not going to move her. I'm going to leave her right where she is. Meanwhile, Rand is going to examine this. He's going to pick that up. I'm going to roll a d10 and see what happens to him. I have found a 3. That's not going to be good. Normally bad rolls are going to gain 2 insanity and 1 random basic resource. Then I'll archive this terrain. So that wasn't too bad. I'm going to gain 2 insanity, and I'll take our basic resource deck, which again is from the core box, so you do need the core box in order to play that. We're going to give it a good old truffle shuffle and draw the top card. We have found a monster hide that I will give to him. He now has 3 insanity and he's carrying a monster hide, which really basically all of our characters are carrying, because the resources are not tied to specific characters. He's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4 to right there, and because he can now be in the blind spot of this particular enemy. Blind spots are going to give you advantage when you attempt to hit the monster, and also it makes it a little bit more difficult for you to be the target of the monster if you don't want to be. Our next survivor is going to be Perrin. He is going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 behind the monster, and because it has -1 evasion, it's going to be easier to hit, and being in the blind spot, I'm also going to get an advantage when I attempt to hit it. I do have two options when I make this attack. One is I could use the Founding Stone, where I have 2 speed, and I need a 7+, but because I'm in the blind spot, I need a 6+, and because he has -1 evasion, I need a 5+. The other option is I could use my Unarmed Combat Fist and Tooth, where instead of needing a 7, I would need an 8+. I think we're going to go with this one, where I need a 5+. Let's see how we do. I got no hits. Oh, that's not a very good start. All right, we have one survivor left. Let's get him. She's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, going for the blind spot. We need to do some damage. She's also going to use her Founding Stone. I need a 5+. And I got a perfect hit, and I also got a 9. Now, sadly, the perfect hit isn't going to do anything for us now, but in the future, there could be items or weapons that allow a perfect hit to do some extra things, but that's not the case. Instead, we are going to hit 2 locations. So we're going to draw our 2 location cards and see what we get. The first one we got is the Pale Colica. It says you strike the monster's multi-purpose urination, defecation, and mating hole. Oh, are you kidding? Oh my gosh, that's out of control. All right, so there's no there's no repercussions on whether there's no reactions to that particular location. The other one we have is the blustering foot knuckles. It has a failure. The monster rolls without turning. Move the monster to the left on collision. Survivors will suffer damage equal to the monster level +1. If I am able to wound, it is going to have a compulsive reaction. So this is one that cannot be canceled at all by anything. And part of that has to do with the vasodilation here. It says the monster recoils its fresh blood, instantly coagulating into hard, translucent scabs. Archive this, draw a coagulated hit location card, and place it on top of the hit location deck. All right, so I get to choose what order I do these. I think I'm going to do this one first because there's no repercussions. Now, I do have +1 strength with this. This monster has 6 toughness, so I need a 5+ in order to wound that location. I got a critical hit. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. All right, so we get to do whatever the bottom of this is. And a critical hit would also cancel any of these reactions. Now, this one does not have a critical hit, so you can't actually do a critical to it. But this one right here says critical wound. If adjacent, you punch shoulder deep into the hole, grabbing a fistful of organs before violently tearing it free. Oh my gosh. Wow. I gain +1 pseudo penis and roll a 1d10 on a 3+. The cola quivers before blasting you with a torrent of blood. Secretions suffer knockback 5. The waste leaves you inspiring design on you. Gain paint. Okay, that's absolutely out of control. All right, so I'm going to gain this particular thing. I'm going to roll a d10 on a 3+. Something amazing happens. Of course it happens because this game is amazing, and we're going to have all of this happen. Oh, wow. So we just gained a whole bunch of stuff because we punched him really good. I'm going to knock her back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to right there. Now we also gain this particular item right here. It's an organ consumable. Consume, archive this to gain +3 survival and the Invigorator fighting art. That's if I want to do that. Otherwise, I can use this as an organ at some point in our life. Now, because of all of that happened, we also gained the innovation paint. So we now have an innovation. We can't believe we got an innovation for fighting a guy. This is unbelievable. So we're going to be able to bring this to our civilization. So we now have the ability to have paint as part of our civilization when we begin coming probably in the next video. But oh my gosh, that was amazing. On top of that, we do 1 wound with that critical wound. So I am going to place this into our wound stack. The only problem is now that we have hit this location, I am no longer in range to be able to take advantage of this hit location. It just gets discarded and nothing happens. Before we draw the next card, I do want to mention that this paint card is from the original core game as well. There are a few ones that are going to change moving into this particular campaign, but I believe the paint card is still the same from the original core box. If that's wrong, of course, moving into the settlement, I will make sure to change that. We're going to draw our next IA card and see what our crocodile does. Delighted. It's a mood card. When this comes into play, I will draw another AI card. The monster can barely contain its delight as a pungent foam leaks from its maw. While this is in play, the monster has -1 accuracy and +1 speed for each terrified survivor. Well, good news, we do not have any terrified survivors. When a survivor dies, the monster is knocked down in excitement, discard, delighted. So this will remain in play. So also that means that there's less AI cards here that we have to actually wound in order to kill him. But now we do have to draw another AI card to see what happens. We're going to draw Crimson Snap. Threat, we're going to one with the least insanity in range. If there's a tie, we're just going to go with closest survivor. It's just going to move and attack, doing 2 speed, 3 accuracy, 2 damage. After damage, it is going to, if you are terrified, you are devoured whole dead. Oh my gosh, you do not want to be terrified when you fight this guy. This is out of control. Cracked molar, the monster unhappily probes the tooth with its tongue. Okay, we do not have the persistent injury cracked molar. The only one we have is the one that gave us that evasion token, and that's not this one. So we are going to, let's see here. We're going to look for the threat with the least insanity in range. Everybody has 1 insanity except for Rand. Rand has 3. So he's going to target the closest survivor. That's this one, because these are in the blind spot. He can't target them. Well, I guess he could. It doesn't say that it has to be in view. I could target them as well. They all have 1 survival. I don't see why not. That's probably not a bad idea. She's already used her evasion. But remember, I want to try to get her to gain that extra Fear 2 card. So let's go ahead and attack her again. And what's the worst thing that could happen? Probably she dies, because remember, this is going to do 2 damage. If she gets hit with 2 attacks in the same place, she's going to die. So these guys all have 1 insanity as well, or I don't think all of them do. Sorry. He has 1 insanity, so we are going to attack that particular one right there. We're going to attack Perrin. We'll roll our 2 dice and see what happens. Lucky for us, we are not insane. It got a 1, which misses, but the 3 will hit. Let's see where it hits. If it hits in the... Nope, it did not. I was hoping it would hit in the waist, but it hit in the leg, so I think we're going to use our survival to dodge that attack. With that attack dodged, we're going to move into our turn. We're going to attack with Perrin. He is going to attack just straight on. No, I think I'm going to attack with her first. She's in the blind spot. Maybe she can do some good damage. She's already thrown her Founding Stone, so she only has the unarmed combat. So she's going to roll 2 dice. Now she only needs a 6+ to see if she's actually able to hit. She got 1 critical or perfect hit. That isn't going to do anything, but we do get to draw 1 hit location card, and we have found the wrinkled gums. On failure, something will happen. Otherwise, we're going to hit with a critical wound. Hopefully, that'll be fantastic. Now, I don't get any bonuses to my strength on this roll because I don't have any Founding Stone for her. So instead, we're going to roll this. I need a 6+ in order to wound this guy. I got a 3. I failed. So we are going to have to do what it says here. The failure action says the monster's lower jaw drops open, its long tongue undauntingly, hypnotically. Turn the monster to face the attacker and move 3 spaces back. The attacker suffers the flee brain trauma. If they are immortal, they suffer the frenzy brain trauma instead. Oh, that's going to be absolutely horrible. Okay, so a lot of things are going to happen here. First, this thing is going to turn to face the attacker, and then it's going to move backwards 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3, landing right on these 2 people, causing collision. Collision is going to knock down my survivors and then knock them back 5 spaces. This person is also going to gain the flee condition, so she's going to move 1, 2, she's going to move 5 spaces towards the closest board edge, which is this one. These guys are getting knocked back 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in collision with her. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is super good, let me tell you. So I have a pile of knocked down survivors, which are absolutely awesome. And on top of that, the flee condition is also going to give her other things as well as moving her away. Flee here states you are knocked down and suffer knockback equal to the movement towards the closest board edge. So I would have knocked myself down. Anyway, also I gained D5 insanity. But remember, we can't forget about our adrenaline adept here. It says when you would gain insanity from a brain trauma, your body suffers pain instead. Suffer 1 damage to a random hit location. So somebody that we do want to take damage is going to take damage. I don't really want her to take a ton of damage, but she's going to take another one to the body. So she's going to take a heavy wound, which would normally knock her down, but she's already knocked down as it is. I do get to fill in yet again another box. We only have to do one more and we'll be able to gain fear too, but hopefully it's not from taking a body hit. We have one person still standing on our team. She's going to run in 1, 2, 3 right to there and attack in the blind spot. She's going to use her Founding Stone again, needing a 5+ in order to hit. And we got two perfect hits again. Sadly, they don't really actually do anything for us. But I do get to draw, they do actually hit. So I get to draw 2 hit location cards. The first one is the Blushing Brow. It says, failure, the monster flashes its toothy grin, its fingers swirl, the blood in your limbs drains, your weapon tumbles from your grasp, you are disarmed. Oh, that is terrible. The other one is going to be a compulsive reaction where I cannot be canceled. The monster recoils. Its freshly blood instantly coagulating into hard translucent scabs. Archive this, draw the coagulated hit location, and place it on top of the hit location deck. All right, that's that one. Let's see what this one is. This one is the Blushing Bulging Neck. It also has a failure reaction as well that says the monster flips upside down and glides on its wiggling fingers, moving 2 spaces forward, then cranes its neck to wink at the attacker. They suffer +1 brain damage equal, or they suffer brain damage equal to the monster level +1. I cannot have that happen. Otherwise, we're going to do the compulsive one here again with that. I think we're going to start with, oh, but I don't want to get disarmed either. I just don't want to fail. Let's just not fail. That'll be the plan. No failing. We're going to start with the Blushing Brow. Let's just see. Do I have to roll to be disarmed, or is this just going to happen? The attack ends. Place the disarm on the attacking weapon and matching tile 5 spaces away from you. You must move over the tile to pick it up before reactivating that weapon again. Ignore if you are using Fist and Tooth. Well, I'm not using Fist and Tooth. All right, let's just hit the Blushing Brow. I need, I think, a 5+ in order to damage this thing. I got an 8, so that means we were able to wound this. So now we have to put that coagulated card on top of the deck. So we'll take our coagulated deck here, take the bottom card and place it on top of the hit location deck. I'm going to archive this card and I'm going to do 1 wound to the monster. Next, we're going to see if we can get the other spot as well. For this location, I'm also going to need a 5+. Remember, we're not going to miss any of these. No failing. No failing. Yes, that's not a fail. That's a 9. I love 9s. Okay, that's not a fail. We're going to put another one of those things on top of the deck. So again, we are going to archive this card. We're going to grab a wound off the top, and then we're going to place one of these onto here. Now, the way these work is you have to physically be standing and hitting in that location for this to actually do anything from how I understand it. I could be completely wrong because I've never actually hit one of these, but I believe that's how that works. Now, sadly, that is the end of my turn because all the rest of my guys are on the ground. They all fell down. So I'm just going to grab the top card, the only card left here. It says, Hail of Fingers, closest threat in range, closest survivor. So the ones on the ground are not threats. So this is going to attack the closest survivor, which is going to be Nynaeve. So we'll see how this goes. Move into range and attack. This attack gains +1 speed for each card in the monster's wound stack. Oh boy, this is going to be really bad. It has a 6 range. Oh, this is a ranged attack. And it's going to have 6 range, 1 speed, 7 accuracy, and 1 damage. If the monster attacked with 10+ speed, it has fired off too many of its scab fingers. The monster gains -1 toughness token and is knocked down. Interesting. All right, let's go. Let's see how many he has in his wound stack. First off, not going to be 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 in the wound stack. So the way that ranged attacks work, because this is kind of a newer thing for this expansion, is that they're going to have a profile of how far the range is. For example, this card has a 6 range. So at this point, it's going to want to move into range and attack. Well, it's already in range because it's adjacent to the character. So at this point, since he is either adjacent to or closer than the actual range profile, the monster is going to move away from the target so that it can put space between them. So it's going to try to get up to 6 range away. So he's going to move down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and turn and face. And these guys are going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over there. And this one, this one's in big trouble. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over there. There we go. And now this thing is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 space away. That's too far. It should have been there. So these two don't get knocked back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It can now attack from that range, and this person is knocked over there now. just scattering my people everywhere. The attack is going to be at 1 speed, but remember there are 4 cards in the wound stack, so I'm going to roll 5 dice, and it needs a 7+ on any of these. It hit only once, doing 1 damage, which is awesome. Let's see where he hit him. Hit him in the hand. I'm going to take the hit to the arms. That's totally fine. I'm going to save my survival for something that does more damage. Now that the monster is gone, all my characters do finally get to stand up. And I think, again, we'll start by attacking the people in the back here. He hasn't gotten to attack for a little while. Let's see how he does. Come on, Perrin, let's do some damage. I lied. I am not going to attack with him because the location we have on top is this coagulated location. So I have to hit this spot right here. So I think we are going to start again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Run on in here. This is going to be our MVP of the whole game here, right here. She's absolutely amazing. She's the one that's got paint all over her right now. She is paint, I guess you could say. And she's going to hit that location. She's going to use her Founding Stone. She needs to get a 6+ in order to hit because I'm not in the blind spot of this one. I did hit twice. Sadly, one of them is not even going to do anything, I don't think. We'll see how this plays out. Here are the 2 locations that I hit. I'm going to start with this one. This one is the Sparkling Snout. Unless your attack is hitting the highlighted spot, your wound attempt is an automatic failure. See rulebook for extended rules. Gain +3 strength to wound this location. If I fail, the monster hisses, fingers drumming rapidly, perform a basic action targeting the attacker, barf, or else, and then if I get a critical wound, that would be fantastic. All right, let's see how we do. We are going to try to wound this location. I roll up my dice. I got a 6 + 3 is 9 + 1 is 10. That is enough to do a wound. Now, of course, sadly, I will discard this. And then the sad news is this one isn't going to come into effect. It says right here, Sparkling Claw, unless your attack is highlighted spot, your wound attempt is an automatic failure. See the rule book, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to have an automatic failure. That's going to be fantastic. First, let's take care of the wound. We don't have any cards left in our AI deck, so we'll just give these a good old shuffle here, and we'll place one over there. Now, sadly, since the other place we weren't able to hit, as I mentioned before, it's over here, I'm going to have to deal with its basic action. So the basic action has a 2 speed, 3 damage attack with 2 damage. After damage, if you are terrified, you are devoured whole dead. Oh boy, well, we're not terrified. Oh my gosh, this guy scares me so much. 2 speed with a 3 attack. Let's see how that goes. I got hit twice, so I'm going to take 2 damage. I believe is what it is. It is 2 damage to a couple locations. Oh no, we got double body. Well, I can dodge one of those attacks. Oh, I can't dodge one of the attacks. It is on my turn. Sadly, she is attacking right now, so she cannot use the dodge ability. So I'm going to take 2 damage to the body. Then the other 2 are going to go straight into the terrible rolling place I've got to do. Now, lucky for me, she does not have any systemic pressure, so I will not be subtracting anything from the roll. And her observation is to do with brain trauma, not physical trauma. We'll roll on our severe injury table for Nynaeve, our MVP of the battle so far. Let's see what happens to her. She got a 4, gaping chest wound. She suffers -1 permanent strength. This injury is permanent and can be recorded multiple times. I'm going to gain 1 bleeding token. So I have my first bleeding token, and I can put a gaping chest wound. You can put a little box there. I'm going to put -1 strength up above. You can't see that, it's slightly off camera. So this is now a permanent stat for her. With all of our coagulated locations off, I am going to now attack from the backside. We're going to use her first. She's going to use her Fist and Tooth, which means she gets to use 2 dice. She needs a 6+ with these. I hit once with an 8. We'll grab our hit location and see what we have found. We have found a glossy tongue. It's a parry location. It's a failure. The monster turns to face and deftly swats away your attack with its tongue. If attacking with a melee weapon, you are disarmed. That's terrible. And extremely impressed, gaining +1 survival and +1 insanity. Awesome, but I'm disarmed. But I'm not going to get disarmed because I'm using Fist and Tooth. So this actually is probably going to be okay. Let's just get a critical wound. That'd be the best. Let's roll up and see what we get. We did get a critical wound. Oh my gosh, because when you fight with your unarmed combat, I become deadly, which means my luck is +1 for my attack with this weapon, and a +1 to that is going to get a critical hit, because 9 would then go to like a critical wound here. So I don't have to worry about failure. I critically hit this guy. Let's see what it says down here. Critical wound. The monster gags. Gain +1 luck token and a vomit-soaked random... What's this? A vomit-soaked random... Is that a item or something? It is. It's a monster resource. Sorry, that is a really small for me to read. But I do get a monster resource, and I also get +1 luck token. Here's my +1 luck token that I now have, and I get to gain a monster resource. We're going to take our crocodile cards here, give them a little truffle shuffle, and we'll draw the top card and see what we have found. We have found a groomed nail. Impressively stone ground. I also get to remove a wound from the stack. It's now Perrin's turn. Let's see what he can do from the back. I'm going to use my founding stone, rolling up 2 dice. Let's see how this goes. I got 1 perfect hit and I got a 1, so the 1 doesn't do anything. We will check out our next hit location. We have found ourselves the blushing burly hind leg. It is another vasodilation. Let's roll our damage and see if we're able to wound this location. We got a 1. We have failed. We have failed, so it's going to... Monster rolls without turning. Full move the monster to the right. On collision, I'm going to suffer damage. Lucky for me, unlucky for me, it's going to move... It looks like it's going to move 3 spaces in that direction. 1, 2, 3. So it's going to go 1... Nope, we don't take you with you. So we go 1, 2, 3 to right there, and sadly completely out of range. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here he comes. He has finished his turn. He gets to move if I want to. 1, 2, 3. Why not? Put him back in the blind spot. Maybe I can get him next time. Of course, after I moved him, I am sure I'm going to probably have to go chasing after him because he's going to move with this card. He has got the Hail of Fingers again. He is going to get into range and attack somebody. He's going to closest threat in range. All right, that's going to be awesome. We'll find out who the closest threat is in range. If we count the closest threat in range, that'd be 1, 2 to here. 1, 2, yep, so that's the closest threat in range is right here. So he's going to turn, he's going to run, so he's 6 squares away. 1, 2, 3 to like right there, and then it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces away from being able to attack her. That is exactly where he's going to go, and he's gonna probably shoot her with 1,000,000 arrows or 1,000,000 of these things, because there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wounds in his stack. So she's going to hit 7 attacks. All at a 7+. Sadly, I don't have that many dice. I'm going to roll 3 dice and need a 7+, 1 hit. So we're going to roll 4 dice now. 1, 2, 3, 4, and see if any more hit. We got, oh my gosh, look at the 1, 2, they all hit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hit. Oh no, there's 5 hits. Oh no, that's so bad. I only have 4 hit location dice. Let's see. Okay, the waist. I know I have an armor in the waist, so I'm just going to remove that and remove the armor from my character. She's going to lose her waist armor. Now, we are then going to re-roll this because that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is my 5th one. Let's see what we hit. Okay, the body. Okay, so the good news is they're all different locations, so this might not be too bad. Remember when I said this isn't going to be bad? It's going to be bad. So she's going to take a arm location, so she's going to take a heavy wound to the arms. She's going to hit once in the legs, so we're going to scratch that one off. Then we're going to get hit in the arms, the legs, the body, and the waist. So the waist is going to take a light wound, but of course our body, we're already rolling on the evil death chart that we have. We'll roll on our vile book of death here and see what we get. We got an 8, a broken rib. It even hurts to breathe. Suffer -1 permanent speed. This injury is permanent and can be recorded multiple times and gain 1 bleeding token. Oh, she's just getting wrecked. So at this point now, I am going to write a 4 up here, at least try to, because she only has 4 speed. She's going to gain another bleeding token, bringing her bleeding tokens up to 2. And then on top of that, she is also going to gain, what was it? The broken rib. So put that one right here, broken rib. She has -1 permanent speed. Oh, yuck. And the bad news is if I don't wound this guy, he's going to fire that off again. So we're going to start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Run around the back and try to hit him. I'm going to use, of course, my Founding Stone, rolling it up twice here. We hit with an 8, and the 5 hits as well, because remember, I'm in the back, and I also get a -1 evasion token. So we're going to hit 2 locations. The first one is going to be the Juicy Jowls. Lashing and sticky, the aerabic smell of the monster's breath burns your nostrils. All right, but there's no detriments to it, which is fantastic. The next one is going to be, what is this? This is our Blushing Hip Wrinkles. This one is going to be another vasodilating one. Let's not miss that. But we're going to start with the Juicy Jowls first. I get +1 to my strength against this particular attack. Let's see what I get. I got a critical hit again. Oh my gosh, criticals everywhere. This critical hit says, the strike mutilates the monster's molars, gagging on teeth shards. It spits and coughs up terrible lumps that rolls over you. Gain 1 random, is that another monster resource? It's a persistent injury, cracked molar affects some AI cards. That's awesome, we'll put that there. That is gonna also get rid of our last AI card. So there's only 1 card you have to get rid of left, and that's the basic action. Once we're able to wound the basic action card, then that is it. So let's just, we're gonna roll on this first. If this is able to be wounded, the battle's over, and we'll go finish off with the Juicy Jowls. Let's see how we do here. We got a 9, we've wounded him, boom, boom, boom. This guy is toast. Oh, we totally took him down. I feel so sorry for Nynaeve. She got totally wrecked. That is a monster resource, so we're going to give this deck a good old truffle shuffle again and grab the top card. We have found ourselves a Pale Flesh, which is going to be a hide resource. And that's it. We were able to defeat this guy. We'll put our last wound right there, and he is done. This guy was super cool. I'm super excited to fight this guy again. I think that's one of the best parts about Kingdom Death. I want to fight the monsters I fought before because they're super cool. We have defeated the Crimson Crocodile. I'm going to gain some resources. We're going to move into the Aftermath. Now, of course, the Aftermath is first going to activate this as part of the deal here. The Aftermath says that, or it says during the Aftermath, I'm going to gain a box, and there is only 1 box to advance to Hunger 2, so he is going to automatically gain the Hunger 2 card. The Hunger 2 card says you must eat monsters to feed the monster inside. When you depart, I get to gain +1 survival. And I have an observation. When I consume, I gain a box towards my goal, and I have 3 boxes to get to Hunger 3. So now, see, they've already become a little bit better. I'm going to be gaining +1 survival when I depart with that particular character. And we're going to remove this one and put this in the box. The interesting thing about these is if somebody else, I believe, ever gains the Hunger Knowledge, they're going to you get to skip this card completely and move right into the one that we already have learned for our characters. We also get to gain all the spoils from killing him. We are going to gain 4 basic resources. I'll give these a quick little truffle shuffle here, and we'll gain 4 resources. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see what we found. Oh, I found a skull. We found a question mark, which can be used as anything, a monster hide, and a perfect bone. These are some of the newer things from the 1.6 version of Kingdom Death Monster. If you have anything lower than that, you do not have this, and you can, but you gain it in the gambler's chest, so you can actually put that in with your game, but only put in 1 into each of the monster in the resource decks. If you got one in 1.6, don't put the one from the gambler's chest into it, because then you have 2 in your basic resource deck. But we got these. I get to give somebody an insanity, and I think we'll just give that to Gwen. Why not? She can have +1 insanity. She is now at 2. On top of these basic resources, we also get 4 resources from the crocodile itself. It's quite a thick deck here. We'll give it a little truffle shuffle. 1, let's grab that one, this one, and let's see here, what other one? We'll grab this. Let's see if I can get these separated here. There we go, that one, and that one. Perfect. All right, let's see what we have found. These are, no, going to be new stuff here. We have found the Flat Vein. It doesn't really do anything except it's an organ. This one is Pale Flesh. I think we already have that. We have a Crimson Fin. And the last one we have is a Crimson Bone. So we have a bone, an organ, and 2 Oregon hide, and a hide. So we got some really good resources here. I think we're going to have a lot of fun in our settlement when it comes to that. But of course, we'll be doing that in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the beginning of our campaign through the epicness that is Kingdom Death. If you did enjoy this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so we'll see you know when more Kingdom Death comes out. Also, please feel free to leave anything in the comments below. I would love to hear from everyone. On top of that, if you're interested in supporting the channel, please feel free to join the Patreon. That is also located in the description of this video. Some of the perks that people get for being part of the Patreon is they're going to be able to see my playthrough videos before anybody else, usually about a day or two early, without commercial interruptions. Those that have already joined the Patreon are located here on the screen. Thank you so much for your patronage. It does mean the world to me. Also in the Patreon, I do have people help me decide how these games come to fruition. As we move forward, I might have them help me kit out some of my characters and even help me decide, like I said earlier, how to name these characters. Right now we're going through the Wheel of Time book series and we'll probably be using a lot of those names, but I'll probably have them help me continue to name my characters as we go forward. Kingdom Death is now again on Meet Me at the Table. I am super excited to continue going forward. We're going to be fighting some new monsters. We're going to be seeing new things going into the settlement, which is going to be our next video. I'm super excited to see all the new things happening inside of this particular campaign for Kingdom Death. I hope you are as well. Again, thank you so much for watching. And if you're excited to see more Kingdom Death monster, then I need you to meet me at the table.